Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today's guest is Sean Loomer from San Diego, California. And I'm really excited to talk to him because he is the guy when it comes to talking about CBD and enzymes. And we really talk about the endocannabinoid system and why it's important to address. So let's go and say hi to Sean. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhige, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Guess what, everyone? My book is out. It is a revised and updated edition of a book I wrote 5 years ago called No Frickin' Way, 21 Days to Ditch the Diet and Lose Weight the Keto Way by Loving Yourself to Health. When I first wrote the original book, I was not a believer in the low-carb movement, but after all the years of research I've done, I am sold out for life. In this book, you will learn about all the lies you have been fed, how to engage in loving self-care, how to eat nourishing foods that provide massive energy, why the ketogenic diet is not a fad, how to heal your body through fasting, why you should move your body to get stronger, and how to create an empowering mindset. Start reading now and finally achieve the high energy and positive body image you deserve. Check it out on Kindle, on Amazon. And if you like it, please leave us a review because this will help more people find it. I really want to inspire people to not deprive themselves, but to nourish themselves with loving self-care and amazingly healthy food so that they can age stronger. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Hey, Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here with you.
Well, I have so many questions for you, but before I launch into my, Rolodex here of questions, how about you just let the listeners know about who you are and what you do?
Right on. I'll condense it. So who I am, my wife and I have been traveling and teaching primarily gut health, plant medicine for the past, 20 plus years now. Everything from teaching and educating doctors. We've worked with hundreds and hundreds of different types of health practitioners, from MDs to naturopaths, chiropractic. My wife actually does some formulating with whole food, plant-based type products. Specifically, we're really focused in the enzyme world. The last 6 or 7 years, we have been heavily involved with the CBD or hemp space. We had a big retail brand out there in the supplement world for many years. We were in 10, 12,000 stores, 50, 60 countries, stores like Whole Foods and things like that. And we've done a lot. We were NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, NCAA, all that stuff, celebrities and blah, blah, blah. But our whole purpose when we started was just to educate, just to enlighten people. And let me tell you, it's a lot easier now than 20 years ago to really take their health more into their own hands. None of us are drug deficient, we're nutrient deficient. And we've just really, we don't teach a specific diet. We do encourage people to eat more fresh and living food, and whatever serves that individual and what they're trying to accomplish. So we're not labeled, and nor do we label anyone else. We're no judgment here. We just want to enlighten people and help them understand that the body's an amazing thing, and when it's given an opportunity to do what it's capable of doing, it's pretty cool what can happen.
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny because with all the crap going on right now in the world the last 6 months, that's what I've been talking about, is that our body's immune systems, if you take care of it correctly, can do more than just protect yourself from viruses and all that stuff, but literally protect you from cancer. So, what I really want to ask you about is what I'm super unfamiliar with is the whole endocannabinoid CBD. I just want to learn more about it, and how it can help people be healthier.
Yeah, it's a really an amazing scenario that we have access to all of these plants now legally. However, the flip side or the downside to that is, when something so big hits the market like CBD, the marketers come out to play, and it's really hard. It's kind of difficult to navigate. And I wasn't look when I first started researching these plants 7 years ago or whatever it's been now. I had I was hard headed, I guess. I never smoked pot in my life, so I thought it was that. I was scared straight by my older brothers. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. So I was on the straight and narrow. I'm just, nope, not going to do any of that. And, this is your brain, the commercials, right? I'm 56. So here's your brain on drugs. And I just thought, oh man, what is this? And honestly, when I started researching, I was flipping pissed. I was shocked of what I was learning. And I'm like, man, here's another thing I was freaking duped in that I didn't know what I didn't know. So I'm grateful that I was open enough to at least, start researching and diving in. And here's the thing. CBD is one little piece of the puzzle when it comes to what I'll call hemp. I'll classify it as hemp, okay? And I'll break that down. But CBD is one cannabinoid of hundreds. So there's CBD and there's CBDA and there's CBG and there's all these other things. And so I think we need to clarify that a little bit. I think we should talk maybe about where the product is derived from, because that's a bad thing in the US for the most part, not always. So let's kind of maybe break that down if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
We good?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so here's the thing. A handful of years ago, people started marketing CBD mostly online, CBD oils. And the problem with that is that they're using what's called an isolate or industrial hemp isolate. It's not real medicinal, if you will. There's just one little thing. It's kind of that pharma side of things where they're isolating something that was really good, and then they're putting a bunch of other poo in there and filling that bottle. Okay, so the consumer thinks, oh, CBD, let me try this. So everyone starts marketing these bottles, little dropper bottles or whatever of CBD oil. And there can be some medicinal value, don't get me wrong, but most of the time it's not what the consumer's looking for. It's other stuff in there, other carrier oils, for example. Not that those are bad, maybe it's a MCT oil or a coconut oil or whatever, but that person's trying to buy CBD. And it's a really, really marketing kind of game that people we don't know what we don't know. And so here's the deal. If you take that isolate that you would make my industrial hemp isolate, you could make my shirt with that. They're extracting that with chemicals, all of them. They're using ethanol, alcohol, butane, propylene glycol. They're taking something that's not very good to begin with. They're extracting it with these harsh chemicals. They get very little what they'll call oil from that process. And so they have to fill that bottle with other things to, number one, fill it up. And then there are, as you probably know, in nature, you have the whole plant, whole foods, whole flower, whatever it is. There's, in this case, there's cannabinoids. There's terpenes, the essence of that plant or that flower. There's, flavonoids. It's what Mother Nature has. It's already in there. So what they're doing is they're pulling one little thing out, and then they're adding other things to fill the bottle, maybe terpenes from another source, because they are raising this milligram count and start marketing milligrams. And it's not about milligrams. It's nothing to do with it. But that's what the consumer's using. Most of the time, it doesn't help people if they're trying to do something specific. They are using a dropper, is it typically a dose, 20 drops, 30 drops, telling the consumer to hold it under their tongue sublingually, hoping that their body will absorb enough of that. When reality, it's about 5 to maybe 10% absorption. So it's just sitting there, And I've tried many of these products. You know, a minute and a half, I'm drooling. I don't know about you, but I can't really keep it in my mouth that long, trying to keep it in there so I can swallow it. And it's a challenge. And the other thing they don't talk about, they never talk about the cost per dose, which is really insane. If you're buying a little dropper bottle and you're using 20, 30, 40 drops a dose, you're paying, it's a ridiculous amount. So anyways, it's a huge industry. It's, you know, exploding. But the biggest thing I think people should realize if they're new to this is it's not THC, right? THC, CBD. We like to say, you know, THC obviously is going to give you that high effect if there's enough of it. CBD, we like to say get healed, not high. It's got a lot of these other properties that the body's looking for, the endocannabinoid system. We can, you know, focus on that a little bit that you mentioned. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm super passionate about it, as you can tell, because we travel, do these Truth About CBD talks. We haven't been traveling as much now during the past 6 months or whatever it's been, but people need to be aware. You know, it's really always about education.
So why CBD? Like, what is the health benefit?
Okay.
I don't understand anything about it. I just remember junior high school, smoking a joint, getting high, and never wanting to do that again. And seriously, never.
Yeah.
No, maybe I was in high school, but it's scary, you know? So you see all this stuff and there's all this confusion. So why would somebody want to put that in their body?
All right. It's a great question. So first and foremost, just so some people may know this, some may not. So cannabis or dispensaries or medical marijuana, right, have a lot of their own medicinal value, certain health issues, diseases, sickness, what have you. That's that. This is different. And the reason why I believe every single human, all of us, need CBD is because of the discovery of the, as you mentioned, endocannabinoid system, the ECS. So back in the 80s, whenever it was in Israel, and by the way, Israel discovered CBD because it was illegal in the US to even research the plant, let alone use it for whatever. So Israel picked it up where we screwed it up, and they figured out this CBD thing back in the 60s. Then they discovered the endocannabinoid system. So no one knew this. All these doctors and scientists, all these amazing humans, super smart all over the planet, no one knew. You know, they knew we had an immune system, a nervous system, an endocrine system, but nobody knew we had an endocannabinoid system. And our body is trying to produce these endocannabinoids. And so when we're taking these CBD type products, we're trying to add to that because there are receptors. We're trying to fill these receptors. There's a couple main receptors, one being near the brain. That's why you hear so many stories about seizures or, you know, anxiety or sleep, and we can kind of address that. But we have receptors in our body that are looking for these cannabinoids, and your body is actually trying to produce these endocannabinoids. So first and foremost, they don't want to call it a supplement. It's a supplement. And what happens is, think of your ECS system as the master, it's kind of the command center, master communicating system in your body. So your immune system, your nervous system, all these things, your endocrine system, it's kind of in charge. So you want your body to be as efficient as it can be. And everyone's striving for this, you know, this homeostasis, this balance, and doing it through food and supplements and yoga and meditation and whatever it is. But really, everything's internal. And so when your receptors are filled, one of the very first things that you'll see or you'll feel, possibly depending on the person, is your hormones balance, men and women. And so your body does start to get into that homeostasis space, and everything starts to be more efficient. And people don't really understand that yet. But that's why all of us, we need our receptors full. We need this ECS to be on point. And especially now, obviously, as you mentioned, with the immune system, everyone wants to take care of that, be as preventative as we can, you know, be as healthy as we can, etc. But that's a big part of it. So the brain, the big receptor near the brain, you know, people, you're going to feel certain things. If you have a health issue and you're taking a good CBD because you're trying to accomplish your whatever, your anxiety, your sleep, your pain, seizures, whatever it is. I mean, it's even gut health, it's acne. The list is so long, it sounds pretty silly, but it's so anti-inflammatory as well. You just have to make sure you use something that's real, I guess, so these receptors are actually able to do what they're supposed to do.
How long would you notice a difference? Like, what if, like, how long would you have to take it to notice a difference?
So everyone's a little bit different, right? And so remember, I always say first, we need to be taking this, period. We just have to take this. This is a supplement. This is what's filling our receptors. Our body, our ECS is looking for this right now. And so for generations now, at least in the US, we've been starving for it because we didn't know what we didn't know. And depending on someone addressing a specific issue, some people can feel it immediately. It could be a pain, right? It could be a neck pain or whatever it is. It could be a headache. It could be anxiety. All of a sudden they're calm. So some people will have immediate reaction. Some it may take hours, days, weeks, months, you know, kind of that holistic kind of mindset we always teach. You know, if you've had an issue a couple of years, you give yourself a couple of months, what have you. But it's going to be different for everybody. I always try to let people know, again, go back to the prevention, go back to just taking care of your endocannabinoid system first, and then let's go from there and see what it does for your specific issue. And so it's all different. So like we've done a lot of work with cancer, autism, Parkinson's, cancer facilities in other countries, you know, before it was even legal here. CBDA, for example, CBDA is super good on the cancer side of things. It actually, people can research this themselves. It'll make cancer cells turn on themselves and start killing themselves. It's very interesting. And so it's not the end all be all, as you know, in this whole journey of healthy lifestyle. It's a piece. It's a piece of the puzzle.
Right.
For some people, it's going to work pretty quick. For others, it's going to take a little bit.
Okay. So what about aging? Let's start with that one. And then I'm going to kind of ask you, because like, okay, you're 56. I'm going to be 55 next month. So I'm really into the whole aging. Thank you.
Yeah, we got to age back. Got to go the other way. You know, it's really interesting. When I met my wife, whatever, a little over 20 years, I don't even know anymore. I had lost my mom back in like, I don't know, she was 63, 64, 1993-ish to colon cancer. And I started doing research. Like, what the heck, man? Why did my mom pass of colon cancer? And I thought I was, you know, I started juicing in my kids, and, you know, I was doing anything I could to learn. And then when my wife met me, she was teaching me about, so imagine 20 plus years ago, learning plant-based enzymes, stabilized probiotics, more raw food, whole food stuff. And I was just like mind blown. Like, who is this girl? Like, what is she talking about? And I really just started implementing those things. And between enzymes, eating differently, having some movement. And I always thought I was a head high school football coach at the time I met her. And I had really bad arthritis in my hands. Like, what the frick, man? I'm in my 30s. I'm eating pretty good. I thought I was. And I was working out, doing all those things. I'm like, I have acid reflux. I have indigestion. My hands, it was brutal. And I had gout in my feet, you know, and I'm not a big guy. So I went to school on a football scholarship, and I was always eating, you know, trying to eat more and more protein. Got to get bigger. I was trying to become average. And these monsters I'm out there playing with, I was just always eating this protein. And it caught up to me. And so when she started teaching me really about food, more fresh and living food, taking plant enzymes, that was the beginning of my journey. And I can tell you, at 56, I feel 100%. Didn't feel 100% in my 30s. and I go and I see my friends at my age, and I'm just like, man, what happened? They just don't, it just food. I mean, food's everything. I mean, we start everything with food, right? And so I just think it's to go backwards in age, I like to say, or to slow the aging process. There's good inflammation, there's bad inflammation. There's that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything we can do to help, right, kind of erase a lot of that bad inflammation internally. Anything we can do to preserve in our body, like I keep bringing up enzymes. So preserving our little bank account, our pancreas of our food enzymes, our digestive enzymes. CBD, when you're working with a good CBD, we make all kinds of products with it. I shouldn't say we. My partner owns the patents on plant extraction. He's got multiple patents on extracting any plant, not just hemp or cannabis, without chemicals. And so when you're working with a clean product, so you take this, what I'll call whole flower fluid, and you're using that topically or putting it in something that you really love and enjoy, as a face, like we're creating these new products like face sticks with the whole flower fluid because it's so anti-inflammatory. And, we want to slow that aging process. We want to slow that down. And, I always say, just throw everything at it you can, because everyone's, as you know, people are going to they'll break a few habits maybe, and they'll make some small changes. But most people don't want to make huge changes until it's like life-threatening, and they just have to, they have to do it. And so CBD contributes in a lot of different ways, because if you have the right stuff and you use it, let's say topically, so skin blemishes. I know I'm not supposed to say all this stuff. This is not a doctor. I'm not here to diagnose and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, doctors who use this stuff with skin cancer, it's amazing. Or I grew up in Southern California, Arizona. I had real bad skin blemishes, things that were starting to go on. I had a bad guy right here, and it took about a month. And that stuff just faded away. It was gone. And that's super powerful for people to understand that. If it can do that, imagine what it can do to help some of these other aging things, and again, we're food first, we teach internal first, but obviously, man, external, the way we want to look, we want to feel good, but we want to look good too. I really think it's a combination of those things.
So did you have basal cell or did you have melanoma?
Well, I'm not supposed to talk about all these things. I get in a lot of trouble. We really try to fly under the radar. Let's just say we've worked with not only myself, thousands of people on both sides.
Okay.
So
okay.
We've seen at this point, the Farm Bill passed in December of 2018 in the U.S., which allowed what we do to become legal. Because I used to travel all over the place illegally, products for doctors and things with no labels, right? My wife's way smarter than me. They would always be in my suitcase. I'd have one big suitcase with my name on it, and there'd be 200, 300, 400 things in there. And when the Farm Bill passed, I was like, yes, because we've always worked with organic cannabis. We didn't want to use that isolate garbage. We wanted the real plants. And when the government came out, when the Farm Bill passed, they said, okay, as long as you're below 0.3 THC, we're going to call you hemp. And I was like, all right, great. Call us whatever you want, as long as we're legal, because you have to have a little bit of that THC in there. This is the other thing no one truly understands. A little bit of trace amount of THC to allow the CBD to do what it's capable of doing. And that's what's super bothersome, because you'll go into like a Sprout store or whatever, and you always see skincare talking about aging, no THC. Like it's just they're marketing to the consumer who thinks they're going to get high from CBD because there's like nothing in there. It's such a minute amount, but it's a necessity. So it's a really interesting kind of subject.
Yeah, and I heard that you had to heat it or something for the psychoactive effect to take, or psychoactive to take effect.
Yeah, I mean the heat activates it, but when we work with cancer patients or we work with different MS or different things, sometimes actual cannabis can be even more powerful, right, than CBD, more THC driven products. But even in that environment, through this extraction process, smoking is not so good. So we want to be able to do whatever we can medicinally with keeping things as in its most natural state as possible without heating it, right? But certainly in a CBD product, no one's getting high. I always tell people, I'm sorry, that's not what this is. It's not that that's bad per se, but that's just not what a legal CBD would be. It's such either a small amount, or now people are even marketing no THC, which is goofy.
So, okay, so my dog had this problem. He had a seizure because he has arthritis. And so the vet put him on this medication, and then he literally had a seizure. And my vet's denying it, which I need a new vet. But so that's people are like, oh, like you should try this, you should try that. And so somebody sent me this dog CBD, and but it's like what you said, I have to use like 20 drops or something. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and freaking count 20 drops. So with the product that you have, how many drops would that be, would you guess?
2.
Oh, okay, I can count to 2.
If it's a little dog, 1.
He's a
Less
lab.
is more. Less is okay. 2 drops. Less is more when you have the whole, as you know, whole food. So when we have all of it, when all the components are there and we haven't taken away from them, less is more. It's all you need, and you don't need to take it sublingually. As a human, we can put it on topically. We would prefer you put it on, just drop it on your tongue, it'll dissipate. In the dog's case or the cat's case, you just put 2 drops, mix it in the food. In fact, we're doing we've had our own personal dog. So right now I'm out at our ranch. We're backcountry of San Diego. It's really different. Been living on the beach. We've been here 1 year now. Tomorrow will be 1 year. We came out here with 1 cat. Now we have about 120 animals. So this is life-changing stuff for me. And one of our big dogs, we have these Livestock guardian dogs, and one of our dogs, Bonnie, she keeps going over fences. And so she hurt her paw really bad. This kept going on and on for like 4 months, and we couldn't make it go away. And so we finally took that, what I'll call fluid, mixed it up, made some little treats, little biscuits, some pumpkin and some peanut butter and some things in there. And oh my gosh, a few days later, 3, 4, 5 days, she's good to go with no pain, no limping. It's gone. And so it's just using the right form. Animals, I believe, respond even better, quicker, I will say, on average than humans when they're using, a good fluid like that or a good CBD.
Okay, that's good to know. I need to, because I love my dog. I love them both, but I hate to see, you know how it is. You hate to see your animals in pain, and it's heartbreaking.
No, I can't talk. I mean, so it's hard. And I'll tell you what, we've been doing these things for so many years. People are willing to do anything for their pets. I mean, sometimes before their kids, their pets are their world, man. And, especially if they're empty nesters, right? And whatever it is, their pets, those are their new kids. And man, they don't want anything going wrong. And you love those pets, and the pets love you. So yeah, it's super important. I mean, we do the same thing. We've always done like heavy proteolytic enzymes and things like that for arthritis and stuff, with animals, blending that in. And it's really neat to be, I guess, at this point of our life, certainly at my age and having done this for a couple decades now, where we were like you guys are weirdos. You're hippies. You're woo-woo. I think that's like 2014, Dr. Oz started talking about the gut brain. And then the people are calling us like, hey, maybe you guys, isn't that what you said? Well, yeah, but now he said it. We don't care. Now maybe you'll look into it or believe. And it's just, we're in a good, I think we're in an amazing time right now, by the way. I think people need to wake the flip up. We've been trying to wake them up for 20 years and we've had some success. We're grateful for that. But it's so many people now, they're way more open to say, what the flip, man? How did I get here? And whether it's processed food, whether it's medications, whether it's chemicals, whether it's the food, the water, the air, right? Whether it's what we used to travel and teach what you put in your body, on your body, and use around your body, clean my window, clean the whatever. And so you can't live in a bubble, but there are certainly some simple changes you could make, choices to kind of prevent all this stuff that, sends people's health on the wrong path.
So the endocannabinoid system, is it an organ system or is it a hormonal system, or how is it in charge of the whole body? I was reading up on it a little bit, but I'm still a little bit confused.
So just think of it. So throughout the entire body, just think of these little receptors, right? That they're just, for most of us, they're empty. they're very dry. I'll kind of describe it that way. And so what we're trying to do is, your body is trying to keep those on point. They're trying to be full, because when the body, as you know, works synergistically,
right?
And it's all one. And so when that's happening, the communication throughout the body from system to system starts to fire correctly. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's just, think of it as and for the people listening, it's more communication. It's like a network that you want everything connected. You want everything to be able to hear and give and receive what the body's trying to do. And I think that's been a huge part of I'll kind of call it, I guess, the downfall of our health, is because medicine is so advanced, Western medicine, that, the foot doctor is not talking to the gut doctor, who's not talking to the brain doctor or whatever. It's just, well, this is what you have this. They're not freaking figuring out why. This is not hard, by the way. This stuff is so simple, so frustrating. And then they'll do what? They'll medicate somebody. We don't need to go down that road, and then they'll create a whole another of stuff, instead of figuring out, well, what's wrong, and why did this happen in the first place, and what's that connected? The body's just one, man. And so the whole point of this ECS system, the endocannabinoid, is that get the body talking to each other, get it operating efficiently, and then see. It's just like anything else okay, let me take a step back. Sometimes when people are trying to become more healthy or do things maybe more holistically, someone will post an article or something will come out, and everybody's marketing whatever that is. And now they're drinking all of whatever, or they're eating all of whatever. And they go so hardcore on something. We always say, at what cost to the body? Right? I mean, I can give you 100 ways to lose weight, but at what cost to the body? And I can give you things to get energy, but at what cost to the body? Or I can make this pain go away, but at what cost to the body? So we're always just trying to get people to say, wait a second, will this accomplish this, and at what cost to the body? We know how bad meds can be. That's like crisis care, whatever. That's like, okay, you were in a car accident, your arm's cut off, you need some pain med, whatever. Okay, you're dealing with that. That's crisis care. Then there's that over-the-counter, right? The NSAIDs and all these other things that we didn't know, and I don't want to say names, you get in trouble, but, all these things that people take, anti-inflammatories and all these things, no one knew, oh, your liver's bleeding now, or your stomach's bleeding. Of course, your headache went away because you're freaking bleeding over here. Your body's focusing on that. So all of these things, we're just so far off the path of nature and as you know, the food's so freaking different than back in the day. When after World War II, when they started canning the food and all that stuff, and then, TV dinners. I'm one of those guys. I had
Oh,
those TV
I
dinners.
remember that.
Oh my God, they're brutal. And then, microwaves and, turning our food, making it rubber. That's got to be good for us. All these things. And I think it's just, man, this is so simple, but we keep screwing it up, and we don't have to be hardcore on anything. I think that's the biggest thing. Listen, if you got a disease and they gave you so much time to live, that's different. That's, if we're dealing with something like that, let's say it's a cancer facility in Mexico. First thing they're doing for that individual is they want to take all the pressure off the body. Yes, detoxing's amazing. They're going to flood them with raw nutrients because they just want to give to the body, not take away. And we're so used to eating all this cooked food, even if it's good food, good piece of whatever, chicken breast or salmon or whatever. We have to make sure everything in the gut, everything starts in the gut, man. Everything. Digestion takes precedence over everything. And so obviously eating better is going to be better for us. But if you don't have the little enzyme bank account to break that stuff down, okay, you're going to have something's going to go wrong. Every disease you can trace back to some form of bad inflammation. Something probably went wrong over a period of time. And it all comes back to food. That food be that medicine is really kind of the thing. And food and plants, fruit, vegetables, all these things. So it's not about being perfect, but it's really common. It's just common sense.
So how do you build the enzyme bank account?
So it's a cool question. I like that. It's like, okay, so picture your pancreas like an ATM machine. All right. The big mystery is, let's say I was as young as you and we were born the same day, right? I'll take a year, I'll take 6 months, I'll take 2 years, whatever you got, whatever I got on you. But we were born the same day, the same time, but we had different parents, different grandparents. Our little bank account of enzymes, our pancreas, is going to be different. So even if we were born the same day, same time, but we start living our life based on our food, our lifestyle, we start tapping, like I tapped out my proteolytic enzymes, my protein splitting enzyme. My body doesn't know if I had a protein bar or a chicken breast. It just wants the amino acid. So in my case, it couldn't break it down completely to an amino acid. So in my body, it stayed as uric acid. Hence, they want to call it arthritis. Right. You have to call it. You have to name a disease so you can have a drug for that disease. Well, no. So I went to specialists. This is in Arizona, Scottsdale, Phoenix. I went to 3 or 4 different specialists, and if you got to have surgery. This one guy said you have nerve damage. I didn't have nerve damage because I have pain in my hands, and right. It's like I don't get it, and so I love doctors. This isn't about that, but as we know, most aren't real nutritionally educated. We know that. More and more are coming around, which is fantastic. But it's just all these things, and we start going down these paths of, you know what I mean? And so to preserve your enzymes is what it's all about. Because when you eat your food, and most people who are like lactose intolerant, at least this will resonate with them because they're like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. I have pain when I eat dairy, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Excuse me. So if I have pain when I eat dairy, I don't want to eat dairy anymore. Well, all that means is that person ran out of lactase, right? And so they just need lactose. So they're lactose intolerant, so they need lactase. For me, I needed protein splitting enzymes. So how do you preserve it? Number one way is to eat more fresh and living food because the enzymes are already alive. They're in that food. If I eat that apple, boom, I like smashing an apple or 2 every morning. It's all good. My body's like, that's good nutrients. If I cook it and kill it and make apple pie, now my pancreas has to secrete enzymes to help my body break that cooked, dead food down. And 2 things have to happen when we eat. have to break that food down completely to get all the nutrient value. But the second thing, like in my mom's case, who passed through colon cancer, you have to process out of the body what your body doesn't want at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it becomes toxic. Over time, right? That's where it gets ugly. So to preserve your enzyme account is about eating more fresh and living food, adding in a good full spectrum plant enzyme. My wife, that's kind of been her wheelhouse forever. Little stabilized probiotics. So when we eat cooked food, we take just a little veggie capsule, a little plant enzyme with a little stabilized probiotics in there to make sure our food breaks down all the way. We're not bloated. We're not gassy. At 56, I don't even aim for abs, but I have abs because I'm breaking my food down. That's abs start in the kitchen, as you know, that whole thing. So digestive enzymes, preserving your pancreas, think of it as an ATM machine. You keep going to an ATM machine in life. You keep pulling money out, pulling money out, pulling money out. At some point, you're depleting that bank account. If you're not putting back in,
right,
you are going to run. And that's why when we're older and living in an assisted living home, they're living uninsured. They don't have the enzymes to break their food down anymore. It's a difficult time.
Yeah. That's my mom. So the enzyme that you take, does it have protease in it?
Yeah.
So it has everything, all the different enzymes, so that you like lipase, protease, amylase, all that?
Oh.
Okay. Right now I've been taking, I think, Source Naturals. I've tried lots of different brands. What brand is it that you take?
So we don't own a brand anymore because my wife is, for years, we have formulated 4 brands for ourselves for quite a while, doctors, etc. I use a product that we formulated for a company called Life. The enzyme is called Life, and it's plant enzymes with a little stabilized probiotics. No yawning. You can get me yawning here in a second, right? So that's kind of what we'll take with our cooked food. And I don't eat a cooked meal without it. And let me here's why. Not only do I want to get everything from the food I just ate and process out what my body doesn't want, we also in our body, right, we have metabolic enzymes.
Right.
And the way we got all those athletes, we started helping them get back on the field or the court faster. And metabolic enzymes are there to fight our viruses, right? It's allowing you to see me, your eyelashes, everything. It's our life. It's the life force of our body. When we and heal injuries. When we run out of metabolic enzymes, we die. The enzymes are the life force of food. Metabolic enzymes are our life force. So all this research goes back to, this is another one of those things which ticks me off, from the 1930s. This research is Dr. Edward Howell. He was kind of the godfather of enzymes. This is when this stuff was just kind of pushed in the corner. Let's not talk about enzymes. This was one of those things. And so when you look at metabolic enzymes in your body to help you fight viruses, heal injuries, when you don't have enough in your pancreas to digest your meal, your body, let's say you hurt your ankle, your metabolic enzyme should work on healing that ankle. But now you wake up and you have a cooked breakfast and you don't have enough enzymes. They stop healing your ankle because digestion takes precedence over everything else, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They stop healing your ankle, they come up to the meal, and then they go back down to the ankle to start healing again. It's all good. And then you have a protein bar or whatever someone's eating, it's dead. They stop healing the ankle, they come back. Then they go down. Oh, it's lunchtime. They stop healing the ankle and come back. And so we're trying to get people to understand, and you want to talk about anti-aging, aging backwards, you take your digestive enzyme, you look at all the research on this, right before you eat is the best time to take it for your food. We used to do, my wife's amazing woman, we used to do digestion is sexy campaigns to get people's attention, right? Because everyone just wants to look good. They'll do all kinds of things that they can look better. And so we're hitting people with that because it was a word that people could relate to. What do you mean digestion is sexy? So you would just kind of prompt them to say, what are you talking about? Now you hear more about digestion and gut health and enzymes and things like that. But You just want to keep your metabolic enzymes keeping you alive.
Okay, so I know about metabolic and digestive enzymes. I understand all that. I also understand that you make them in your body with, all with your food and with saliva and everything. The bank account thing is new. I haven't heard that one as far as the digestive enzyme bank account. But where can I get this enzyme that you're speaking of that's supposed to be better? Because right now
And
I'm seriously taking like Source Naturals, I think.
yeah, well, so I always tell people, number one, I would ask them to take a plant enzyme, not an animal or pancreatic enzyme. Those are derived from slaughterhouses, pigs, sheep, cattle. Not that they don't work, but no one talks about this.
Ooh,
So a
so
pancreatic enzyme, and those are different. And I'm not saying that's what you have. I'm just saying make sure you're using plant enzymes for everyone listening. The best way for me, because we have multiple brands, if you message me on Facebook, Sean Loomer on Facebook, that would probably be the best way, because we don't market per se, you know what I mean, ourselves, because we're just primarily educating, helping companies, doctors formulate, create products. There's some big people out there that and that's really my wife, who's done that education and created that for them to be the gurus on gut health, etc. So I can absolutely help people with that if they want to message me on Facebook.
well, I know how important digestion is and gut health is, and I have used the Viome. Are you familiar with Viome?
Mm-hmm.
I've used their
Yeah.
services before, but I always want to be the very best I can be and then help my clients be the best they can be. So I like to test things
Yes.
on myself before recommending them to my tribe. So,
Absolutely.
and
We'll get you some.
I know that it's like you are what you eat, but you are what you absorb,
Exactly.
you know?
Most people don't understand that. You're exactly correct. I mean, you know what you're doing, and that's what it's all about. And people we just don't get that part. And the sad thing about this digestion is it's so simple, but our children these days, so you're like, look, I was in my mid-30s with arthritis. That's not good, right? I mean, that used to be like an old person's issue. Well, now you have 6, 7, 8-year-olds with arthritis.
Really?
Why is
From all the
of course
sugar.
diabetes? Babies are being born. So mom, let's say, didn't have enough enzyme bank account going into birth. We've done hundreds and hundreds of little babies. We've worked with moms. But when you start life out and you're depleted, they're tapped out. They're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. They're tapped out. So now, because think about it, you mentioned these enzymes, right? So protein for me was uric acid. So you can call it, say, arthritis, whatever. Lipase. Well, what's lipase going to break down? Fats, sugars, right? I mean, so now you say, what health issue happens in the human body if you have undigested fats and sugars? Diabetes, obesity, heart. I mean, everything goes back to digestion. Everything. It all goes back to, this is so simple. People, what happens? Their blood gets thick and sticky and dirty because they have all this undigested toxic material floating around in their body. And their red blood cells can't travel from their big toe to their brain to deliver nutrients because it's thick and sticky. So what does doc tell them? We're going to put you on a
blood thinner.
Great. Okay. And I'll give them that, because I guess it's better to have thin, dirty blood than thick, dirty blood. But what if you just took flipping plant enzymes with your meal so you don't add any more crap to the issue, and then you take them systemically away from food? It's like the old Pac-Man game. It just cleans your blood. And your blood flows. What if you need to have sexual health, sexual performance, all these guys? Man, I love sex. I'm not different than most men out there, and women the same. Well, what if your blood's clean and flowing? I've never taken that little blue pill. Clean blood, man, that's the river of life for all of us. women and men. So if our blood's clean, as you know, everything's working better. And we can talk about clean colon. We can talk about all these different things. But man, if your blood's not clean, you got issues, man. Your blood has to be clean, has to circulate and deliver and do what it's supposed to do.
That is good stuff. My husband's going to be all over this one. He's been telling me to take enzymes before I started taking them, like maybe 15, 20 years ago. So that is cool. Awesome. Well, I am super excited. I want to check out your website and like learn more about you. And, but I'm really excited about this endocannabinoid system because that's one area of health that I'm not super familiar with. But it makes sense. And of course, nobody's talking about it. Like the doctors don't talk about it, probably because there's not a pill. That's the thing. Have you seen Dallas Buyers Club? You and your wife remind me of that show. Have you seen that with Matthew McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey. I get people telling me my voice or something reminds them of him. I get that a lot.
Sean, you got to watch this movie. Okay, so basically Matthew McConaughey, it's like based on a true story. I want to say he was in Texas maybe, and it was a big AIDS epidemic, and he was sick, I think, and he found like the supplement. Oh, you saw that?
Yes.
So what happens? Big government wants to shut him down because you take away the money. It's like that's pharmaceutical companies to me are like the epitome of the problems that we have with our healthcare. Instead of making the problem better, they make it way the hell worse. And our country is freaking sick. But of course, I have friends who say, oh, Tracy, you're not my doctor. I have to trust my doctor. I'm like, screw your doctor. Your doctor is getting kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies. They don't learn about nutrition. They only talk about medicine, pills. Ugh.
Well, it goes way, way back, and whenever it was when doctors used to, before the medical schools changed, right? When pharma got involved, it used to be, 80% plus of what was prescribed was holistic. Mm-hmm. It was normal, and pharma gets involved and said, okay, check it out, everybody. This was what, at the turn of the century, late 1800s, whenever this was.
Carnegie and Rockefeller.
Absolutely. And so if you don't change, you're not going to be a doctor. We're going to humiliate you. We're going to make everyone know you're a quack. So we're either going to run you out of the country if you don't come over to this side. We're going to kill you, but you're not going to keep doing what you're doing. And that's when everything really, like you said, so what you just said is the second thing my wife and I always say. At what cost to the body, follow the money. What cost to the body, follow the money. And, for 20 years, so people are way more enlightened now. And that's why when I say I think it's a wonderful time right now, only because we had to wake up, man. It was getting crazy. I mean, we're so sick. It's sick, it's just not. It doesn't need to be like this.
But it's going to be worse.
Being perfect.
But they're coming out of all this like isolation with the masks and the hand sanitizers and all that garbage, and their immune system's going to be depressed, and then flu season's going to come like it does every year. And now all of a sudden everybody's going to get sick, and they're going to blame it on,
Yep, I know. I don't even go there anymore. Because we just try to disarm people a little bit, just to say, look, just drop your guard for a minute and listen what's going on. Do with it whatever you want. And typically the truth will resonate with people. And so I try to just enlighten them in such a way that, okay, and keep it so simple. Because you know this. When you're working with your clients and people, they want to look like you, they want to feel like you, they want to, whatever you're doing, Tracy, I'm in. What do I got to do? And most of them won't do it all because it's a lifestyle change. But if you don't keep it simple for people, they don't care about what the words are. You know what I mean? They just want to know, what do I got to do? What's really happening here? And it does go back to this doctor pharma thing. It's not the doctors. They don't know. They're just doing their deal. Enzymes now, did you know you can get what I'm talking about, like a full spectrum, something like, let's say my wife formulates for, I don't know, 40, $45 for a month's supply. Pharma sells their enzymes now. But remember, they used to say enzymes mean nothing, food mean nothing. Now pharma has prescription enzymes. They're about, depending on what you buy, like $1,600 for a month's supply. CBD, check this out. CBD is like between $1,500 and $3,500 per individual per month. It's insane.
And who's paying that?
So
who's paying that?
Yeah, well,
it's not the individual.
Amazing insurance. No, it's like, what the heck? When we can prevent so much of these things, and typically what they do, they always have to put their spin on it, because you can't patent nature, but you can patent chemicals, and that's just a whatever many $1 trillion industry that is. It's crazy, and that's why when I was mentioning earlier how we used to travel and speak about this around your body, because we were watching, we were seeing what's going on in Europe and Canada and Japan, and these ingredients, these freaking US-based companies, man, that are over there, but with the looks the same, the bottle, same name, these companies you and I grew up with, but then the ingredients are all different, because you go to freaking prison if you try to put that on another human. And those same companies who are headquartered here in the US, they keep using this crap. Yep. And it's just so hard, but it's people like you, it takes people like all of us to at least just try to wake people up a little bit, and some will listen, some won't, but the great news is now more than ever, people are a little more opening to understanding, okay, something doesn't seem right. Obviously, duh, but it took a big smash over our head, I think, for some people to wait. They're not all there yet, obviously, you know that, but we're better than we.
I crack up.
Now they're getting so.
Go ahead, finish.
No, they're just getting confused. Like you said, the mask, the deal. I was like, what?
I crack up when I see people by themselves in a car driving with a mask.
Windows up.
It's like, what are you doing?
Windows up.
And the scary thing is the masks I saw, because I used to be in dental, and somebody showed a picture of the mask in California, as you know, I think it's Prop 65. Have you heard of that? Like, yeah. Okay, so the warning labels on everything that, this might cause cancer, that the masks, and I'm guessing maybe there's some sort of fiberglass or something in there. That's a total guess.
Right.
But there's a Prop 65 warning on the box of masks.
People are so scared, and I get it. I understand. If someone has other health issues going on, I'm going to be more paranoid about, you know what I mean? I get it. They don't really know, because if they knew, they probably wouldn't be in the position they're in already anyways, based on food, based on medications, based on their lifestyle, what have you. And I feel bad. I feel horrible. And elderly, I feel bad for those, because they're scared. Mm-hmm. They don't know. They don't know what, like wearing this mask. Yeah, I don't. It's really, really difficult the windows up, mask on, ready to go, alone in their car. I'm like, man.
That's total fear.
But yeah, anyways, don't get me going down that road.
Yeah, sounds like we're on the same team here, so I get it. Well, I'm excited, and I want to thank you so much for, coming on the show. And for the listeners, we will have links to all of the great stuff Sean was talking about on the show notes page, so that they can take a deeper look if they're, like me and very interested in all that. So why don't you tell people where they can find you? Like, are you on social? You said, meet me up on.
I do a little bit, some family stuff, some education stuff, but on Facebook, it's Sean Loomer, just SeanLoomer. I'm Soul Coach Sean on Instagram. But it's hard, because when I say it's hard, I just want people to hear. I don't want to, we've been through this for 20 years. I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. I just want people to listen. And we were on, 10, 12,000 shelves, whatever. But bottles don't talk. It was cool getting $300, $400, $500,000 purchase order checks. That was neat, I guess. Right. But that's not my wife and I's intention. We had no business plan. We started this. It was to educate. It wasn't about selling product. Now, obviously, certain products can really help all of us. But that's why I'm just not into. I'd love to have people connect with me on social media, ask me questions. We can connect with my wife. We have protocols for. We've seen everything. We have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of testimonials, unsolicited, by the way. Be it enzymes, be it this whole flower fluid. We're grateful, and so we stay low profile. We have lost many people that are a little bit outspoken over the past handful of years. Some of these people who say they have a cure for this or that, and then those people disappear, or they're suicides or whatever they are. And there's 100 and some of those folks that we know of, and it's not cool, man. So we're low profile.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But we do want to help, and we do want to serve, and we feel called to do this. And I really appreciate just having me on, because it is. If we help somebody today, that's fantastic. But I'll get you some links or something. We'll figure that out.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, that was fun. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. For complete show notes, including links to order and check out the amazing products that Sean is talking about, head on over to the show notes page at highenergygirl.com/show. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.